God of all times and places, like the ancient Israelites, we come before you on this 54th anniversary of Anguilla Day to recall the wonderful acts which you have done for us and among us. Most especially, we recall your love for us in sending your Son, Jesus Christ, to redeem us from sin and death. We thank you for this beautiful rock, Anguilla, our homeland. We thank you for the steadfastness and perseverance of our forebears who lived and toiled under extremely difficult circumstances to lay the foundation on which we now build. We recall the events leading up to the first Anguilla Day. Remember those dark, uncertain days when our leaders stood firm in their resolve not to accept the status quo and to build a new Anguilla. We acknowledge that your guiding hand was present, for if you had not been on our side, all our efforts would have come to naught. Remember those leaders, all who made sacrifices in the struggle and who have since died. Grant them rest in your eternal kingdom. Your protecting hand is still over us. And cognizant of this, we bring before you all who make decisions on our behalf, our government and the healthcare personnel, especially as we continue to navigate the rough seas of the COVID-19 pandemic. May they be guided by the Spirit to direct the affairs of this land in righteousness and peace. Lord, we thank you for the showers of rain on our dry and thirsty land at this time. And as we are about to enter another hurricane season, again we plead your mercy and your protection. Bless our homes, our parents, children, and young adults. Give to all parents and teachers wisdom, patience, and a zeal for you. May they look to you at all times for direction. And in our schools, college, and universities, may true knowledge, sound discipline, and godly love ever be found. For all who are engaged in the industries on this island, agriculture, including fishing, construction, tourism, crafts, we ask you to prosper their handiwork. For the freedoms which we enjoy, we thank you. Rid us of selfishness and help us to use our freedom for the good of all. As we celebrate with the honorees this day, we thank you for their varied contributions toward the development of this island. Let this ceremony be an inspiration to our people. May we be intentional and committed to the cause of truth, justice, love, and peace. As we march into the future, let truth and right be our watchwords. Bless us and these proceedings. We ask all this through Christ our Lord, who taught us when we pray to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Your Excellency, the Governor, Ms. Delaney Daniel Selvaratnam, Honorable Premier, Dr. Ellis Lorenzo Webster, the Right Reverend Leroy Errol Brooks, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of the Northeastern Caribbean and Aruba, Honorable Speaker of the Anguilla House of Assembly, Mrs. Barbara Webster Bourne, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mrs. Cora Richardson Hodge, other members of the House of Assembly viewing the proceedings, Registrar of the Supreme Court, Ms. Vernette Richardson, Commissioner of Police, Mr. David Lynch, 2021 Anguilla Day honorees, ladies and gentlemen, all those joining on social media or listening via radio, good morning. I warmly welcome all of you to this official ceremony commemorating the 54th anniversary of the Anguilla Revolution. A people cannot live without hope for long, without erupting socially. These words were penned in the petition lodged by the Anguillan people to the then Governor of the Leeward Islands, Alexander Williams, asking for a dissolution of the political and administrative association with St. Kitts. The year was 1958. This was the second petition lodged by the people of Anguilla to dissolve the association. The first was to Queen Victoria in 1872. Both petitions went unheeded. In 1967, when against the wishes of the Anguillan people, the British government proposed new constitutional arrangements that would provide for associated statehood and the formation of the tri-state of St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla, the people erupted. The words of the 1958 petition came to pass. A people cannot live without hope for long, without erupting socially. That period of social and political upheaval and the civil unrest is what we call the Anguilla Revolution. It did not happen overnight. It was the result of over a century of neglect and discontent with a governance arrangement which did nothing for the advancement of the Anguillan people. Anguilla was a dusty, barren rock with little infrastructure, poor sanitation, and few opportunities for its impoverished people who lived a simple subsistence lifestyle. It was considered worthless, and no effort was made to invest in its development. Rather, it was trapped in an unwelcome union with St. Kitts, which resulted in its people having little say in decisions which affected their lives. The announcement of statehood in 1967 was the last straw, and it was a signal that Anguillians would have to fight in order to free themselves from the unwanted union. 30th May 1967 was a high point in that fight. Historically, it was the day that the St. Kitts police were expelled from Anguilla, but symbolically, it was the day that Anguillians tangibly asserted control over their own affairs. It was the day that hope was restored to the people of Anguilla. Hope that things would get better. Hope that the island they loved dearly would flourish, that their children would have more opportunities and a better quality of life than they did. I say to Anguillians near and far that all of us are a manifestation of that hope. Wherever you are right now, whether you're providing emergency care services in a hospital, offering guest services at a resort, preparing gourmet dishes in a restaurant, competing in sports on the world stage, working in the public service, making music, art, film, furthering your education, running your small business, fishing, hosting a radio show, laying blocks at a construction site. Whatever it is that you're doing, always remember, we are a manifestation of that hope. We are a testament to what is possible when people have hope. We are a testament to what is possible when you press on despite the odds, despite the setbacks and despite the detractors. Anguilla is no stranger to crisis. Resilience is etched in our DNA. Our ancestors didn't give up then, and regardless of what we face, we won't give up now. All of us make up this colorful fabric of Anguillan society. Anguilla is not just this 35 square mile island. Anguilla lives in each of us. No matter where we are in the world, Anguilla will always be a part of who we are, and we will always be a part of the Anguillan community. We have much to be grateful for. We may not be where we want to be, but we are a long way from where we used to be. Because of the sacrifices of our forebears and their faith in God, we can live as people of hope. There are still chapters of Anguilla's story waiting to be written. We cannot become complacent. There is still work to be done. As we reflect on the contributions of those who paved the way for us, let us bow our heads and observe a minute of silence in memory of those revolutionaries and stalwarts of the Anguillan community who have transitioned since our last Anguilla Day celebration. The souls and the souls of those who have gone before rest in perpetual peace. Before I call the next speaker, let me just apologize for not wearing my mask appropriately. My glasses are fogging up and I'm unable to see what's on my paper, so I apologize. I now invite Her Excellency, Governor Delaney Daniel Selvaratnam, to deliver her address.
Good morning. Adopting the protocol already established, I would like to wish all Anguillians, both home and abroad, a happy Anguilla Day. Due to the unprecedented realities of our current health position, we are not able to embrace the full grandeur of our normal celebrations today, and I know the distance for family members overseas is felt acutely. But whatever the distance, and however difficult the circumstances for Anguillians, the strength of identity, the ties of the community, and the faith of the nation remain strong. As Anguilla's rich history shows, it takes the vision of a few to help others believe challenges can be overcome and that change and growth is possible. Every year, it is important on Anguilla Day to take time to give thanks to the revolutionaries, the men and women who saw Anguilla's potential and had a clear vision of the port to which they successfully sailed and anchored this great nation. They are very much the architects of Anguilla's future. This was not a casual quest, nor one in which they stood alone. They shared a common doctrine and dedicated much of their lives to creating a nation which is, as the national song reflects, proud, strong, and free. This national holiday is a time to reflect on their endeavours, their wisdom, and their spiritual strength to contribute selflessly and to work collectively so that this island could prosper. Our thoughts and prayers are with all families who have lost loved ones this past year, including most recently former Chief Minister, the Honourable Hubert Benjamin Hughes. As we mourn their loss, we recognise the contributions they each made to the growth of Anguilla over their lifetime as members of our community. Lessons can be learned from the belief that one person's plight must be helped along by his or her community. Today's honorees have certainly taken forward that baton of public service, representing a cadre of selfless care and drive to improve day-to-day lives through innovation, creativity, and education. In developing and promoting the talents of our nation, they have certainly been an inspiration to generations of Anguillians. We extend our congratulations to this year's award winners and their families, Mrs. Mona Fleming, Mr. Anthony Bryan, or should I say Dr. Splinter, Mrs. Florence Harrigan, Mr. Elbert Hughes, and the posthumous award to Mr. Clyde Carty. Anguilla has shown how it is able to always rise to a challenge. Its resilience and high potential holds true today, just as it did 54 years ago. Anguilla is a nation of proud, community-minded people working together and supporting one another to reach a common goal, which is one of the best ways to honour the men and women of Anguilla's past. Working together as one in supporting the public health response to the recent cluster of COVID-19 cases is a testament to the strength of our community ties and the determination of our health team. This has set Anguilla apart, both regionally and internationally, in leading successful containment of the pandemic within our shores. This year, it is particularly relevant to give thanks also to those around us who have worked tirelessly to keep us safe. We cannot thank enough and respect the dedicated efforts and personal sacrifices of our healthcare workers in driving Anguilla's public health response, and the supportive and committed efforts of the Royal Anguilla Police Force, the Special Constables, the repatriation team, and all other frontline workers. I hope that Anguilla Day this year can be a memorable, albeit a different way of celebrating this great nation. Inspiration to move forward can be taken from the actions and sacrifices of the founding fathers and mothers of this nation, and also from the people we see every day who are putting their love and belief in Anguilla above all else. Thank you, and may God continue to bless Anguilla.
Thank you very much, Governor, for your timely remarks. We now invite the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Mrs. Cora Richardson Hodge, to deliver her address.
Protocol having been established, good morning. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you celebrating this special day, the 54th anniversary of the Anguilla Revolution, Anguilla Day 2021. This official day, Anguilla Day ceremony for a second year, is being held here at the Ministry of Finance instead of at the James Ronald Webster Park. The COVID-19 pandemic, which the world is currently grappling with, has caused us to change the way we live, the way we work, and to refocus the lens through which we see life in general. While today we celebrate the history of the 1967 revolution, we must also recognize that our current unique circumstances have once again caused us to revolutionize our thoughts and our actions. Our situation in Anguilla over the past 14 months has taught each of us how to move forward with intentionality, using the power of our minds to represent who we are and what we want to achieve for ourselves and for Anguilla. As we did during the 1967 Anguilla Revolution, we as a people have once again been forced to tap into our creativity and our resourcefulness to overcome hardship. This is not unusual, however, as in the face of adversity, Anguillians have always been tenacious in seeking a better way of life. Faced with the prospect of prolonged unemployment in recent times, Many of our people have had to think outside the box and use their talent in creative ways to support themselves and their families. You only need to look around to see the establishment of new small businesses over the past few months. From food stalls to catering, to mobile beverage businesses, from cake making to hair braiding, from singing and rapping to young artists and musicians, the selling of shoes and apparel, the list goes on. Our people are not content to sit and allow disappointment to rule our lives. It is obvious that the fighting spirit of the Anguilla Revolution lives on in the hearts and minds of Anguillians today, young and old. My positive outlook does not seek to ignore the reality that many persons across our island are facing difficulties during this time. Rather, it is to highlight the fact that with unity, togetherness, and with the spirit of cooperation, we can continue to overcome any obstacle that is placed in our path to progress. Fellow Anguillians, let us reflect on our past. Let us recognize the hard work, the strength, and the willpower of our forebears who fought for this generation and the generations to come. But also, let each of us look towards the future and today commit to doing one thing to help move ourselves forward. Let us commit to continuing to develop our island nation. Let us commit to continuing to develop ourselves through training and education. Let us commit to ensuring that our children are equipped with the educational tools needed not only to survive, but to thrive. Let us commit to being innovative and progressive. Let us commit to being our brothers and sisters' keeper. And let us recommit to building a new Anguilla. To quote the late Honorable James Ronald Webster, as a nation, we must move onwards and upwards. It is therefore fitting that the theme for this Anguilla Day is intentionality, commitment, and nothing less, a celebration of our nation's progress. Congratulations to our 2021 honorees for your contribution to Anguilla. It is fitting that we recognize and show appreciation to those of you who have selflessly assisted in the development of our island nation over the many years. We thank you. Happy 54th anniversary to all Anguillians, home and abroad. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Richardson-Hodge, and for your call on all Anguillians to recommit to continuing to build a better Anguilla. At this time, we have a cultural presentation, Honor Our Greats, and it is my pleasure to announce that the one and only Dr. Splinter will be delivering his very own Honor Our Greats, one of his most famous calypsos, one of my personal favorites as well. So let's warmly welcome him, and we look forward to a wonderful presentation.
As the doctor of national calypso, in our history I like to know why for years and years there should be the greats of this land most don't even know. You told us about Columbus, Hawkins and Sir Francis Drake, and about the French invasion that done well through sacrifice during the revolution. For their commitments and contributions I anticipate It is time we seriously get up and honor our greats. Let us look now at the hospital after the visit of Royal Princess. A symbol and her name was written then soon after she left. While we have so many greats to honor, and you do nothing to show your interest, a name like Wallace Way for us, I would have suggest. Even Walbley, he was just an estate owner. We could honor Clayton Lord, he was the first pilot of Anguilla. So many of our greats have gone without identity. So today they will honor the greatest Calypsonian of this country. So true. As a great national character, known as the father of Anguilla, while we wait for the youth council to honor the work of I am not trying to be biased or controversial, but I feel those who did good for this country should take a voice since we were a colony. The Queen paid us one visit. Now we have an avenue and cornerstone with her name on it. This goes to show how much and where you place your concern. You close up the book, you give and you look, but our greats ain't get none. What left to me, I must create the Hall of Fame, so I can write and display all our heroes' names. Is it a must this have to be done? Why can't we show a generous concern so to encourage our greats underprivileged? When we look at Jesse and Trigger, we seem to lost their recognition. At a tender age, stood on the front line for our freedom. Charlie Fleming, the Hastings brothers, Hatfield and Pecos stood among the rest in a quest. They risked their lives just for us. So many of our greats are here without identity. I think it is time we honor our greats of this country. So true. Throughout the world it is plain to see greats are distinguished honorary. Is it because we don't have money? Are we waiting on some foreign celebrity? Time we turn pages of national history, so our youth here would understand that in bygone days, yesterday and today, they are national heroes of this land. Make a little badge or recognize them with an emblem, or rename some streets or some buildings. Shouldn't cause no problem. No money cannot pay them for the services they have done. In every area we had Sir Anguilla, their pledge was their endeavor. Without a doubt I must create the first Hall of Fame, because there I would like to see all our heroes names. Take a look at the school, Stony Ground, through the name from Collins Hodge, the politician, just like the Michini, Tabitha Mason Mall and the Farrington. Fred and Whitty, Otlin and Duncan, Brave and Ruby, who was so clever, rode a boat from St. Kitts all the way to Station. Walter Hodge, the great navigator and boat builder, should be recognized in all the ports and boat races here in Anguilla. Anguilla Day, instead of jumping and having a ball, come on, let us start writing our heroes' names on the wall. So true, so true. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Dr. Splinter, and he was accompanied by the very capable Kelvin. I think that song is really a testimony to why we say that Calypso is the voice of the people and a call to action for social change. We've seen quite a bit of progress in that area since this Calypso, and I think, Splinter, you can take some of the credit for calling on us to do better. We now welcome our Honorable Premier, Dr. Ellis Lorenzo Webster, to give his first Anguilla Day address.
I adopt the protocol already established. I acknowledge the presence of Her Excellency, Governor Delaney Daniel Selvaratnam. And I certainly want to thank Dr. Splinter for that rendition, because it certainly lets us know why we are here. I want to pay tribute to our heroes and heroines of the Anguilla Revolution, and those who have passed on, those who are still alive, and tribute to the life of the former Chief Minister, the Honorable Hubert Benjamin Hughes, who recently passed. Fellow Anguillians, I greet you on this Anguilla Day on the 54th anniversary of the Anguilla Revolution, proud of my heritage, proud to be Anguillian, and thanking God Almighty that He has spared our lives to reach this milestone. This is the second year that the COVID-19 pandemic has prevented this event from being held at the James Ronald Webster Park and limited the lunch with our elderly citizens. While we do not need the pomp and circumstance to celebrate Anguilla Day and recognize our honorees, it would have been good to sit at lunch today and listen to the recollections of those who participated in the revolution. We would have learned a lot. Anguilla Day is a mindset. It represents the conviction of purpose, a yearning for a better life, a sense of urgency, and the unwavering support of the Anguillian people. It represents what is possible when a people stand united for a just cause. It says, yes, we can, no matter the obstacles. And for our Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters, si se puede. I'd also like to wish happy belated Mother's Day to the Dominicana mothers, which was celebrated yesterday, Sunday, the 30th of May. Anguilla Day reminds us of that bridge between the past, the present, and the future. It should also reinforce the bridge between Anguillians everywhere, whether in Anguilla, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, St. Martin, St. Martin, St. Thomas, or elsewhere in the diaspora. There is a sense of belonging that is uniquely Anguillian, no matter how close or remote your connection is to this rock. It is this oneness, this kinship, that keeps us connected whether we are in Anguilla or many miles away, knowing that we are stronger and better together. And if we have to live true to the ideals of the patriots that gave us a chance with their struggles back in 1967, we have to come together again. We celebrate Anguilla Day on the 30th of May because on that Tuesday, the 30th of May 1967, the St. Kitts police were expelled from Anguilla. And this act of rebellion was the highlight of the Anguilla Revolution. Anguilla was poor and underdeveloped. There were no paved roads, no electricity, no pipe-borne water, no telephones, no proper airport or seaport facilities. The Anguillan people were convinced that they could only progress if they were free from St. Kitts and in control of their own destiny. And we should never forget our revolutionary heroes and heroines, and that we owe them a debt of gratitude. We should never forget that the revolution took tremendous courage, struggle, and sacrifice. The father of the nation, the Honorable James Ronald Webster, wrote in his autobiography, Revolutionary Leader, I learned a valuable lesson that Anguillians were willing and ready to risk their lives to change their political and economic future. I will never forget that the reason that I can be here today is because 54 years ago, Mr. Webster stood up. In spite of the risk and despite the odds, he stood up for justice. He stood up for progress. And then a few more Anguillians stood up, including the late Atlin Harrigan. And then a few hundred stood up, including Dr. Splinter, the late Wallace Ray, and Walter Hodge. And finally, a few thousand stood together and managed to change the course of history. Intentionality and commitment, that is what it took. This deliberate, purpose-driven dedication to the cause led to the Anguilla Revolution, which made it possible for Anguilla to progress to where we are today. Today we face different challenges, but nonetheless similar uncertainty. We are still reeling from the effects of the global financial crisis, the collapse tax started under the previous administration. These measures, along with financial assistance from the UK government, are necessary to maintain Anguilla's solvency, given the poor financial position and high national debt we inherited on the 30th of June 2020. We were faced with not being able to meet Anguilla's debt obligations, not being able to pay bills, not being able to give adequate subventions to provide health care and water services, all of which would result in a constitutional crisis. We could not allow that to happen. We could not dishonor those who fought so valiantly in the Anguilla Revolution. Like our forebears, we chose to make the tough decisions and sacrifices necessary to save our beloved country. We made a commitment to tackle the long-standing fiscal issues and help Anguilla to develop a stronger, more resilient, and self-sufficient economy. Yes, we are far away from the dirt roads, the lack of electricity, telephones, and water services as in 1967. The port facilities are improving, and the health and education facilities are being rebuilt or upgraded with UK funding. However, there is still the same struggle for a better Anguilla. The economic crisis, worsened by the stagnation of our main industry, tourism, has negatively impacted the small business sector, crippled the construction sector, has limited the opportunities for our youth who feel disenfranchised and have become disengaged, and made our elderly more vulnerable. Health and wellness, youth development and empowerment, economic growth and expansion, maintenance of our environment, and climate change are the challenges that we face today. However, this moment of great challenge also presents a moment of great opportunity to make the lives of Anguillians, present and future, better and sustainable. We must provide more incentives for local investments, more support for the establishment of small businesses, a commitment to renewable energy and financial services, and a comprehensive policy to deliver on the full potential of the fishing and farming industries, boosted by utilizing modern technologies. We must prepare our children better so that they can take their rightful place in the community and be able to create wealth for themselves and this country through improving our education system, exploiting technology through innovation and efficiency. Our children must be assured that the Anguillan dream is still possible, to have a job, build a home, raise a family, and make things better for the next generation. We must enhance the tourism industry by diversifying our product, expanding markets, and expanding our airport, and encouraging Anguillians to come home, whether to visit or to stay. There is no challenge that we cannot overcome together. And with unity and a deep sense of purpose, we must be confident that a united community working together, striving together, can achieve the dreams and aspirations of its entire people. This is the era of revolution and great change in the world. Women and men of African descent are demanding justice, respect, equality, and fairness, and are making great strides throughout the world. Black and brown lives matter. Involving Anguillians everywhere brings to the table various experiences and abilities which can improve our economy and enhance our people's lives. All our people, regardless of which village you live in, your last name, or your social status. Our first Chief Minister, the Honorable James Ronald Webster, stated that a society does not prosper unless its entire people experience improvement based upon fairness and integrity, so that when the rising tide floats the largest ships, it must float the small boats as well. We know that the battle ahead will be long, but always remember that no matter what obstacles stand in our way, nothing can stand in the way of the power of thousands of people working for change. And I'm asking you, the people of Anguilla, to get engaged, to help this nation to reach its full potential and to help to inspire a new generation. This is our defining moment. When your children ask what you did when you had the chance to help Anguilla make meaningful progress, you can proudly say, you showed up, you stood up, you spoke up, you got to work, and you made a difference. The nation's future progress must be intentional, committed, and steadfast. I wish to congratulate those of you who are being honored today for your outstanding contributions to Anguilla and the part that you have played in developing this nation. I thank God for you and your families. Let this 54th observance of Anguilla Day be a time of reflection, renewal, and reunion. When all is said and done, we are all in the same boat. Have a happy, safe, and healthy Anguilla Day. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless Anguilla. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Premier, for your remarks. We recognize your commitment to the people of Anguilla and ensuring that your government makes life better for our people. We also recognize your call to action to our people, encouraging all of us to do our part to make Anguilla a better place. Thank you so much for your heartfelt remarks. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to one of the highlights of our proceedings, the presentation of awards to the 2021 honorees. I will call on Premier Webster at this time to come forward, and he will be assisted by Miss Anguilla 2019 to 2021, Miss Latanya Mussington. Honorees, I must alert you that due to the COVID protocols, we won't be able to pin the badges this year. They will be presented. I will read the bios, and the honorees will come forward once I have completed reading the bio. Our first honoree is Mrs. Mona Aldith Tulip Carol Fleming for social development. Mrs. Mona Fleming is the former wife of the late revolutionary leader and Honorable Speaker of the Anguilla House of Assembly, Mr. Atlin Noraldo Harrigan. At the time, as a young wife and mother, she was instrumental in supporting the work of her husband. While her contribution behind the scenes of the revolution cannot be underestimated, Mrs. Fleming's main contribution to Anguilla has been her involvement in the development of culture and arts. Mrs. Fleming was one of Anguilla's premier fashion designers and dressmakers. Her creations graced the stage of the Anguilla Carnival Queen Show from 1977 to 2000 in the evening wear and swimsuit segments. Her flamboyant and creative designs thrilled audiences with their surprise elements and found favor with competition judges year after year. From 1992 to present, Mrs. Fleming has been the president of the Sunshine Theatre Company. Sunshine Theatre can arguably be credited with reigniting a passion for theatre arts in Anguilla, with the staging of plays and other performances over several decades. Mrs. Fleming was instrumental in recruiting and grooming young actors for the performances, getting persons involved in the annual observation of Black History Month through the presentation of poems and prose, and staging the annual awards banquet, where persons are recognized for their contribution to cultural preservation and development. Mrs. Fleming currently serves as president of the Anguilla Retired Persons Association, having been a member since 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Mona Fleming. Mr. Anthony Crispin Bryan, Social Development. Mr. Anthony Bryan, popularly known as Dr. Splinter, Mighty Splinter, or Splinter, is a veteran calypsonian. As an aficionado of the calypso art form, Dr. Splinter began singing at the age of 15. His journey started in the junior competition, and he naturally transitioned to the senior competition, where he blossomed into an iconic cultural artist. He is a highly decorated calypso performer for well over 20 years and captured the coveted Calypso Monarch title 11 times. His many compositions have captured and archived Anguilla's history, struggles, and successes through song. Calypsos such as Honor Our Greats, Scrapbook, Integrity, and Falling Apart continue to be favorites on the airwaves because of their timeless and poignant messages. Dr. Splinter has been crowned Leeward Island Calypso Monarch, having represented Anguilla in that competition on at least 4 occasions. He has also represented Anguilla in competitions in Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, and St. Martin, and elsewhere. With each performance, he has demonstrated that he is one of the greats. Calypso lovers near and far are thrilled by his contributions to the art form. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Bryan, Dr. Splinter. Mrs. Florence Elmire Harrigan, Social Development. Mrs. Florence Harrigan has meaningfully contributed to Anguilla's development in all areas of her life. As a Sunday school teacher in the 1970s, she molded the minds of many children and carried this same passion into her service as a business studies teacher. She was instrumental in setting up the business department, then unit, at the Albina Lake Arch Comprehensive School, and later the adult education program, which she coordinated. As a teacher, she assisted many young people with honing the skills needed to achieve success in their professional pursuits. She also used her knowledge and experience to assist in the formation of the National Secretaries Association, now the Anguilla Association of Office Professionals. Mrs. Harrigan was also actively involved in cultural preservation and transmission as one of the founding members of the Anguilla Cultural and Social Society, which initiated the Emancipation or Carnival celebration in Anguilla. She played an integral role in the establishment of the Mayumba Folkloric Theatre, one of Anguilla's oldest and most renowned cultural performance groups. She has been casted in various local plays, including the famed Malyahana, which was part of Anguilla Showcase at Carifesta in 1981. Mrs. Harrigan served for many years as a Brownie Guide leader, treasurer of the Anguilla Girl Guides Association, and secretary of the Caribbean Link of Guiding. She's a founding member of the Anglican Church Women's Association, ACWA, and served as president for several terms. As a member of ACWA, she spearheads various fundraising and outreach activities and has organized conferences and workshops on gender affairs and women's spiritual development. Mrs. Harrigan has engaged in work to support the most vulnerable, and in this regard has served as an executive member of the Association for the Blind. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Florence Harrigan. Mr. Elvet McMurtry Hughes, Social Development. Mr. Elvet Hughes has lived an impactful life in service to his creator, his community, and Anguilla in general. As an educator, Mr. Hughes began his career as a math teacher at the then Valley Secondary School. In later years, he also served as the school's principal. He subsequently served as Chief Education Officer and later Permanent Secretary responsible for education. Mr. Hughes is noted for having served with distinction. Though retired, he is currently a math lecturer at the Anguilla Community College. Mr. Hughes is also a volunteer tutor of math, physics, and chemistry. As a founding tutor of the Saturday morning classes for grade 6 students at the Adrian T. Hazel Primary School, he is part of a cadre of tutors who provide academic support for students. The program is open to students from across the island at no cost. Many of the persons under Mr. Hughes' tutelage can attest to the positive and transformative impact he has had on their lives, and many have entered careers in engineering, medicine, and other fields, thus contributing to national and global advancement. Mr. Hughes is also integrally involved in other areas of community life. He is an active member of the Bethel Methodist Church, where he has held many leading roles. Being an avid farmer, he has also served as president of the National Farmers Association, ensuring the interests and concerns of Anguilla's farmers play an integral and collaborative role in the development of Anguilla's agricultural sector. He's also a member of the Anguilla Beautification Club. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elvet Hughes. Mr. Clive Claude Davison Carty, Social Development, posthumously. Mr. Clive Carty served Anguilla in both the public and private sectors. In the Anguilla Public Service, he served first as a teacher at the then West End Primary School, then in several senior administrative positions, including Administrative Cadet, Assistant Secretary, Administrative Secretary, and Permanent Secretary. As Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Natural Resources, Tourism and Lands, he played an influential role in the development of Anguilla's tourism sector. He was one of the key architects of government's tourism plan and policy, which focused on high-yield, low-volume tourism. On exiting the public service in the early 1980s, Mr. Carty became general manager of Cul-de-Sac Hotel, then owned by Mr. Leon Royden. With his pioneering spirit, he later established the Mariners Hotel in Sandy Ground, which opened for business in 1983 and subsequently emerged as one of Anguilla's leading tourism properties. Mr. Carty's contribution to tourism cemented him as a pioneer in the industry. After leaving the Mariners Hotel, Mr. Carty still remained in the tourism sector and established Anguilla Travel Services, a travel agency that is still in operation. His contribution to the tourism sector and his astute business acumen resulted in him serving as chairman of the Anguilla Tourist Board for many years and holding other appointments, including chairman of the National Bank of Anguilla and the Public Service Commission. In addition to his tourism contributions, Mr. Carty was an avid photographer who amassed a large collection of photos of various aspects of Anguillan life. Some of his prized photos can be found in Discover Anguilla, a booklet he co-authored, which contains some of Anguilla's most beautiful scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Clive Carty, posthumously. The award will be accepted by his daughter, Avon Carty. Thank you, Premier Ms. Anguilla. Thank you. Congratulations again to all our honorees. We now have a special item, a poem, Anguilla, Look Where You Came From, by Mrs. Hyacinth Hughes. We welcome Teacher Hyacinth to the podium.
This poem was written for the 40th anniversary of Anguilla Day. So that's the only number that will change in the poem. Anguilla, look where you came from. Do you remember when life was hard and things were rough? With nowhere to turn and nothing to do? But your people are resilient. Your people are tough. They toil laboriously just to make it through. Picking salt, tilling the soil, plowing the seas was the only means of making a living. Mobby bark, livestock, and green pigeon peas, even thatch brooms earned us a shilling. After years of oppression, struggle, and deprivation, we appealed to central government to improve our lot. Our cries went unheeded. We made the decision to free ourselves from that hated despot. We implored Mother England to decide our fate. Grant us self-rule, or govern us anew. Oh no, they cried, you'll be part of a state. Rule from central is the best thing for you. We want no part of a three-island state, this bold band of freedom fighters cried. Everything stood at stalemate. Anguillians would no longer be denied. Talks of statehood still made headway. So our bold leaders decided to take matters in hand. May 30th dawn. What a fateful day when we expelled the lawmen from our land. 54 years ago, you had lined every front page. Unknown till then, you emerged from total obscurity into a prime tourist destination. A new image, a land of peace, hope, and prosperity. Anguilla, you have come a long way. Let's honor our stalwart men and women who envision a brighter future for us today. Let us be united now as we were back then. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teacher Hyacinth, for that wonderful rendition. And I encourage us to read her other poems in her book, Sweet River Song. She is one of our famous local poets, and we want to support culture and the arts. So, Teacher Hyacinth, thank you so much, and we look forward to your continued work, doing what you do best. All right, vote of thanks. We've come to the end. In everything, we must give thanks. As we bring these proceedings to a close, it is my privilege to offer words of gratitude to the following. Mr. Timothy Hodge, who submitted the winning theme. Congratulations, Mr. Hodge. The participants in this morning's ceremony, the Right Reverend Leroy Errol Brooks for invoking God's presence, all our speakers, Her Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, and the Honorable Premier for their timely and thought-provoking messages, Ms. Anguilla for assisting with the distribution of badges and certificates, to Dr. Splinter for his splendid rendition, like only he can, and to Kelvin for always being there and being his source of support. Thank you for that accompaniment, Kelvin. To Mrs. Hughes, again, for delivering her poem. We want to thank all those persons who work behind the scenes, the Department of Information Technology and E-Government Services, DITES, for the arrangements for the live streaming, for designing and printing the programs. Special mention of Alrand and Vaughn, Clamart and Angelique. We are truly grateful. Titanium Sounds for audio and Ivor Hodge for the photography. The Anguilla National Celebrations Committee for all the planning that went into this event, and a special luncheon for our senior citizens who are in residential care facilities. They will still have their lunch today in situ. Special mention of Mrs. Gilda Gum-Samuel, Gina Brooks, Judica Connor, Tavia Nelson Connor, Tiffany Carty, Sanford Richardson, and Shamika Hodge. The Anguilla Honors and Awards Committee for reviewing the nominations and making the recommendations. Black Orchid for the lovely decor. Trenton Roach for the plants. Royal Anguilla Police Force for their presence and support. To Judica, Tavia, and Brittany for the impeccable protocol services as usual. To anyone and everyone who played a role, we say thank you. We are truly grateful. Happy Anguilla Day to all, and may God continue to bless Anguilla.